Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again to another episode of the Alex Hayes Podcast. I am your host, Alex Hayes. Joining me today is my special guest, Kirby Hamby from Edge Business Solutions. He is a business development consultant and with plenty of years of experience. And today he's joining me so that we can help share some of that wisdom and knowledge over years and years and years of business optimization. So with that said, Kirby, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. The years and years and years makes me sound old. So that's okay.
Now, well, it just means experience. For the audience sake, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and talk to us about who Kirby is. How did you come to where you are today? And give us a little bit about your background.
Well, my name is Kirby Hamby, and I have a company called Edge Business Solutions. It started about 3 years ago, and it happened out of the exit from another organization. We had an investment, and I had a business partner I met there, and we decided to start this organization. It's predicated on the past. I worked for a company for 24 years that had issues after the 9/11 event. And so basically was laying off a bunch of people, and it was getting to be a very bad situation. So I left there. I immediately got headhunted by a company out of Chicago. It was a national consulting firm, and I went to work there for 6 years. So that's where I kind of gained a lot of my consulting experience. That was a very tough task because you're flying out every Sunday night, and you're coming back every Friday night, and you're going all over the place. So I left there and started my own company. I ran that for a few years, sold it. And then that's how I met up with my business partner, and we got this started. So I gained a lot of my consulting experience from the previous job and just took it to here. So that's how I got to where I am.
That's awesome. So I want to go back a little farther and try to get to know you personally a little bit. If you had to describe yourself in high school, who were you in high school?
Well, actually, I did pretty good in high school. It was before that I was struggling. My parents actually punished me by sending me to summer school for 3 years.
Wow.
And so I got out of high school in the 11th grade, and I was kind of going on my own because I did well there. In high school, I wasn't popular. I was kind of I was just a survivor in high school. I did my thing and moved on. I was going to go to college and I actually started in the University of Arizona. I started there as to be an architect. That was my goal, was to be an architect. And I went 1 year and dropped out because everybody was partying but me. So I've met up with another company. I got into emergency services. I started as a firefighter and got remotivated again, went back to school and got a business degree at University of Arizona. I went on there and I've stayed with that company for 24 years.
What about that company allowed you to stay or made you want to stay with a company for 24 years? That's a long time. That's a big chunk.
It was. I think that I really enjoyed the work in emergency services because it was a national emergency services organization. And I got to travel a lot. And it was a valuable service, and it was doing good for people. And I just fell in love with it. And unfortunately, I promoted myself up and out, basically, of the company. That's the way I kind of characterize it. And it all came to an end. So you had to start over. So it was an interesting time.
What did you learn during that emergency services position that carried forward into your next job, like to the next career path for you?
I think a lot of it was just the interaction with people. There's a lot of good people that work in emergency services, and the interaction and the leadership component of that organization is very strong. You have to have that. That's a definite quality that you have to have. Your people, the community, everybody looks to you for solving the problems, for the answers. And it can be a very powerful thing, a very powerful drug.
And what would you say your purpose is today?
I'm very motivated by solving things. My purpose is to solve things, help people solve things, help relieve stress, help get things going in the right direction, because things can be done a lot simpler than they are. And I think we make things way too complicated, but that's because things were inherited that way, or they just seem to blossom to the point where we can't solve problems. But problems are easy to solve. They really are. That motivates me to solve them. I love it.
Where did you develop this problem solving love and this skill? Because it's a skill to be able to analyze and solve problems. Where did you really develop this skill set?
It could be going back to the 24-year company. You have to solve problems quickly. I heard in sales one time, why do I buy something? It either fulfills a need or solves a problem. You got a problem. I'm an expert solving problems. I've done that over the years, and you have to solve them. And it's just become a natural thing. Just break it down to its simplest part and solve it.
So walk us through that process, though. Like when you're approaching a problem, let's go deeper a little bit here, because this is really interesting, and this is something that I think a lot of people could benefit from. How do you approach problem solving from a concept perspective? Like, what are you doing sequentially, first, second, third? How are you approaching it?
There's a lot of different tools and a lot of different concepts and ideas out there about problem solving. Thinking that I think back to the original. If you ever saw this, it was the most ridiculous thing you ever saw. But the fishbone, remember the fishbone? Yeah, you can get that. And I was working for a boss. If I went in and said, hey, let me work on the fishbone. He said, you got 2 seconds to work on the fishbone. We need problem solved now. So those kind of things got thrown out. But it's about identifying the problem and just taking action. A lot of us don't take action. I've done it in the past myself. Just let things fester till it becomes a problem. And you know it's going to be a problem. Just get it solved.
How do you get to the root problem? Because sometimes there's problems that appear because they're a symptom of a bigger, deeper root. How do you get to the root cause? Like how do you get to that and solve the real problem, not just the symptom?
When I go into an organization, in a lot of ways, you can see where the kind of problem lies, but it's not a matter of just solving it at that point. It's a matter of getting buy-in, getting the group to understand, hey, this is a problem and we can solve it. But this is how it benefits us to solve that problem. I went into a company once and I rode with the technicians in the field for almost 3 months before we even started doing anything, just to build that relationship. And then they started to see slowly, we can solve this. And this turns lost revenue or lost opportunities or whatever it is, puts back onto us as benefits. If you go in and try to solve it, you can, you go into places today, I'm sure you've seen this too. You can go in, this is not working right, but you have to lead the organization to find a better way. So when you're looking at the root cause is because it's been there for so long. It's a comfortable part. It's like that old Pink Floyd song, Comfortably Numb. I always remember Comfortably Numb. It's been sitting there for so long that nobody wants to solve it. But it has ramifications. It could create something else. You just have to look at the bigger picture and lead people to want to solve these things. In a lot of ways, in my position, I go and say, listen, if it isn't making money or bringing value or making money, it's out of there. You gotta get these things out of there. And that starts to relieve stress. And when I start relieve stress and start bringing more money in, now we're in a better position to solve problems. Takes that tension away. I'm not sure if that's answering your question.
I think it does, because what you're saying is you have to get the team has to look at the situation. We have to identify what the problem is collectively, and then you have to have leadership to be able to get the buy-in from the team to be able to fix the problems the way they need to be fixed, right? And because change is hard, is what I'm hearing. Like, and I agree. I think change is hard for a lot of people, especially older people that have gone through motions and repeated processes maybe incorrectly for so long, and it just it's like propaganda. The more you say it, eventually it becomes truth, right? So I agree with that. I think maybe the question would be, psychologically, when you're processing a problem, we see a symptom or we see an issue, right? But then how do you know if it's a symptom or a root cause? Maybe let's dive deeper into that. How do you know if it's a symptom or a root cause?
I guess the way I would answer that is once again, you're looking at what that evolution was that got it to that point. In my opinion, okay, the root cause is the core problem. Is causing other symptoms in the business.
Yeah.
Okay, where's this stemming from? Why is this happening? Why are we doing it this way? Well, because it's going on over here. You may have people that have dug in their heels and said, no, we're not changing. Well, you got to be flexible and change.
So at C, one of the things that I was taught with was you ask why 5 times. If you, by the 5th why, you typically can get to the root cause. It's like, so if this is a problem, it's like, why is this showing up here? And it's, well, because Johnny didn't do this. Well, why did Johnny not do that? Well, he didn't do that because he didn't have process to do this. Why do we not have a process, right? So you kind of like drill down all the way to that root cause. And then once you understand the root cause, then you craft a strategy around fixing that causes. And then it fixes all the other 5 issues. Is that similar to your process?
I think this is where I see a lot of the evolution coming into play. When I was talking about the company I got headhunted with, we went in, it was a very specific thing we were going to do. They would go in and say, okay, listen, we need 160 hours to fix your business. Yeah. That was already predetermined before I got there. And you're just going through things, done, but it's not sticking. It's not that within a month of leaving, the same things are happening because you haven't taken that time. So the evolution, when you're talking about the psychology of it, is really finding out about the organization, understanding the culture of the organization. You can walk into any business around town. Every time I go into a doctor's office or something, I look at their mission statement on the wall, but there's, okay, this is what they're supposed to be doing. And then you can look, are they actually doing it? They have to believe in something. The people just kind of get lost along the way. And these things just start happening. And there was a thing, I watched this NASA channel, and they talk about this a lot in their organization to keep these things from happening. Um, they call it normalization of deviant, like
Mm.
the little things that creep into your business that just start to manufacture. They attributed a lot of that to the Challenger explosion and other things that happened. It's like driving around with your engine light on your car,
Yeah.
and you can become used to it. And now all of a sudden you got a problem. Well, no, it's been telling you it's had a problem for a while, but they allow these little things to creep in. Let's just let this person, we're bring in this person. And then they start their own little thing. And then it just starts, nobody wants to mess with it. Okay. Then you got owners that are standing back in a lot of cases. And this is a very powerful thing these days. You don't want to mess with people. It's hard to find good people out there, especially highly skilled. They'll go anywhere. There's companies just stealing people from one another. So it's about building a process and a system and understanding that allows your workforce and your managers and your owners to accept change.
I think that I think that's a beautiful concept, because one of my big things is looking at businesses, and I identify the same thing. The issue is that there's no leadership, right? So leadership drives culture, leadership drives visions, leadership drives influence and motivation for execution, right? But without good, strong leadership to maintain the integrity of the culture of the business, the processes, procedures, maybe a rule based system, all of a sudden breaks down because there's no accountability, there's no leadership, there's no culture verification. Somebody has to be the leader, right? It's either going to be defaulted or not. But how would you, how do you see leadership in businesses today? Because you deal with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, right? You've seen a lot across the spectrum of these type of leaders, but do you see them being more managers and task oriented, or do you see them really stepping up and taking leadership of their company?
Let me give you a couple of examples. There's in any organization, you got key leadership owners,
Hmm.
okay, and we're teaching overwhelmed business owners. We're teaching them how to become relaxed, profitable business leaders. Okay, field leadership, the people that interact, the individuals that interact with the workforce, with your frontline people. That is probably the biggest area that you have to focus on, because employees start to feel unsupported. Okay, go do this, and that's it. Okay. You get a paycheck at the end of the week, maybe. Leadership I'm talking about is I train the managers. Let's go. We're going to go to projects. We're going to go to where we're delivering service. We're going to go to where, and we're going to get in there and we're going to meet with the guys. We're going to help them out. They go in there, start helping them do stuff, whatever they're doing. Hey, you guys are doing great. Hey, let me show you this. But that gives us also time to interact with the client base. That's the leadership I'm talking about too. So it really comes in a number of different areas. Build routines in business. You have sales meetings, you have staff meetings. You never, ever, ever, ever miss those meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. It's important for those things to happen. Those routines help me drive me to those meetings. If I'm having a good week, the meeting needs me. If I'm having a bad week, I need the meeting. Okay. That's the leadership I'm talking about. You set that tone and it starts driving people to feel appreciated. Everybody gets recognized for what they're doing. Okay. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for what you've done. Hey, let me help you with this. People showing up, they're doing something good. You focus on the good and you build on it. That's the leadership I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, we're all have problems. I have faults. I have things. I go to places and seek help also. Hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? There's experts out there that help you do things. But leaders have to drive that. It's so important. And that's where it becomes fun. That's where you can have fun as a leader, as an owner of a business. Get out in the community, stand tall, go meet with your client base, meet with your employees, drive around town. Don't sit in an office all day staring at the computer, waiting for something magical to jump out, which is what happens. Or I'm looking at a receipt for 40 hours for the week, and where'd this come from? Doesn't matter. It's done. We just put processes in place to keep it from happening again. Um, that's the stress relief. I bring stress relief. I want you to go out in the field and I'll take care of all this because I'll get it done in 2 hours. You're going to spend 45, okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to be unhappy and you're stressed out because I didn't get all this other stuff done. That's what I'm trying to help owners with. That is the transition that's happening from where I was trained before. We're throwing this at you, we're throwing this at you, here, 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 boom, 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 sign off, boom, pay us, we're out of here. Good luck. 3 months later, it's a mess because the behavior didn't have time to change. They didn't see that the behavior modification that we're trying to instill now has an impact.
What do you think would be the percentage, if you had to put percentages on it, what percentage of it, of your optimization for businesses and business development, what percentage of it is uh, owner development, and what percentage of it is business development?
Whether they always say that it's personal development before business development. I would say probably 80 on the owner.
80%.
80%.
Wow.
Once again, it's change. Behavior is hard to change.
Yeah.
And when I get stressed, I get put back in a position. I do what I know, right? And what I know is wrong, but I got something done.
Yeah.
Um, I've had owners. I had one recently that ended, and he could not break out of his party ways. It was more fun. Everything he did and built and made was spent on partying. Okay, you can do that. It's your business, but this engagement's ending because we can't. We're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And you're going to blame me. See, and that's the thing I want to keep from happening. Okay, you don't want to be the villain. I come in and it's like, hey, you're great, you're great. 6 months later, oh God, Kirby's gone. No, did we get this done? Did we do this? Are we still on the right path? And you start to test that.
Let's go a little deeper on that. Why do you think initially you're praised as a hero, and then 6 months later you're all of a sudden a villain for just continuing to do the same thing, which is helping them?
You're sticking with the message. I heard this once I listened to a lot of sports talk radio, and they're talking about they hire these new managers for a baseball team. I love baseball. Manager. That year, he's manager of the year. 3 years later, he's fired.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's no exit plan there because you've seen this with football coaches. George Seifert, who won the Super Bowl, San Francisco 49ers, got fired same year. Okay. Because the message doesn't resonate anymore. They come in with a new message. Okay. New game plan at work, but it's the same thing. We agree on the message. We agree on the game plan. This is where you want to be as an organization. This is where you want to be with your family in 5 years. The revenue's coming in. What are we going to do with the revenue?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to expand a little bit. We need to add some things because it's going to bring in more revenue. You have to find that kind of sweet spot to make these things happen.
There's businesses need to be able to grow and develop, right? But a business requires long-term planning, long-term thinking. And you see it. You've mentioned that you've seen it a lot, where businesses can't see beyond the next day or next week. The type of change that you're talking about implementing is one that has a long-term vision, strategy behind it. It's not a quick fix. It's not a get rich quick. And it's not like, hey, tweak this one thing and you're going to be a millionaire. It's no, let's make the right methodical changes in the business function, business model, function, development. And over the long haul, your business is either you're going to be worth more, or it's going to be more profitable. You're going to have a better opportunity. You're going to enjoy your work a lot more, but it's going to take consistency of messaging and consistency of vision. And that's hard for a lot of people to think long term nowadays. What's your approach on trying to help those business owners with this long term mentality? And what are you seeing as maybe obstacles that they're putting in front of themselves as you're trying to help them build their business in a better way?
You got to build that growth culture. The growth culture, you have to stabilize the organization, depending on what's going on in the organization. I used to come in really kind of fluid in a sense. Okay, listen, let's take a look at things. But my initial layout now is for a process is 6 months. And the first weeks 1 through 4 is just us getting to know each other, getting to know what you're going to do, getting into the business subtly. It's hard to walk in the door first day and ask an owner for all of his financials. It doesn't go over well because that's where all the skeletons are hidden. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start talking. Okay. Weeks 1 through 4, this is what we're going to do. Let's go right around. Don't say a thing. Don't do a thing. Just mental notes, getting to understand what's going on, what the client base wants, what the product they're offering is. And every business, there's 3 things: sales, operations, finance. Okay. I equate it to baseball because I love baseball. That's my pitching, my hitting, my scorecard. Scorecard looks good. My pitching and hitting's working, right?
Yep.
Scorecard looks bad. I got to go back to one of those 2 and fix it. Keep it, breaking it down to the simplest terms like that. Let's talk. What's going on? I want to know how they got there. Really, what are your goals? I woke up one day and I said, okay, listen, I got to find a way to get out of this at some point. Okay, to do that, you got to stabilize some things. You got to proceduralize things. If you're going to sell something, they want to see procedures. They want to see a process of how you go about your business. I took my call came in. I responded. I did this and this and did okay. And I made this. So I'm tracking all my materials, all my vehicles, everything. I'm not wasting time. I'm not wasting resources. I'm not driving from here to here and back again for no reason. That happens all the time. There's thousands of dollars just wasted. If we can clamp on that. Now, we're making the most out of we can what we're doing. Now let's look at growing. We have enough money to add another vehicle. We have enough money to open another store. You want to build that duplicatable process, but you got to build that mindset first. scare people away.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are scared of success.
Interesting.
I mean, I've seen that
Why do you think that's the case?
because I can actually make this work and I can make more money, but it means more attention. Okay. It means more. I mean, I have to hire a couple more people. Okay. I already got all the screaming people running around here as it is. Now I got to hire more. And
Yeah.
I got to, but it all goes back to intake and process. With those things in place, it's not as scary. I worked with one company. We added 2 vehicles in 6 months, and all of a sudden, all this work's coming in, and it couldn't handle it. It was over. We took that from 800,000 to $2 million in 6 months, and stopped because it was too much.
It was
So
too
it's
much. Too much for the system, or too much for the owner?
For the owner.
Too much for the owner.
Yeah, and so you got to have that. You got to want that.
Interesting.
You got to want that success. And listen, I'm going to wake up. I want to double the size of my company.
Wow.
I have a meeting with a group now. I walk in and say, what are we going to do? We're going to double the size of the company and work half as hard. How do we do that? Let's go. Let's find out. It's possible because we're getting rid of the things that don't matter, the things that are keeping you from growing, the things that are keeping you from being successful. We're getting those things out of here.
Wow. That's powerful. That's super powerful because, and it sounds like the biggest roadblock that owners have is themselves, and maybe being honest with themselves of what kind of business they want.
And I've done the same thing myself. I've had to redo my company a couple of times because I can make this a lot more than what I'm doing, but I have to change. I have to learn. I have to go out. I had to re-educate myself. And I do that a lot. I belong to a group 3 days a week that I meet in the mornings, a mastermind group that we go through and it helps replant things or reiterate things that I've already known or new concepts, new ways of presenting things. And everyone needs to do that. It'll change your life.
So mindset is really, I mean, as much as we don't want to equate what we do with self-help books, right? Like what we do is well beyond a self-help kind of book. It's not a rah session. But what we are addressing and talking about here, it sounds like, is the mindset of the owner is the number one key to a business's success, right? And how well they're able to implement procedures and grow their business. Is the owner is the roadblock. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. The hardest thing I think to do is ask for help.
Ask for help. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. I'll be the first one to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go find the answer.
Yeah.
They call me sometimes. I don't know. Let's go find the answer.
I think a lot of times people think, especially as business owners, that we think we have to have the answers. And you're like,
I know.
Because early on, maybe that when you start something from nothing, you have to just believe that it's going to work. And all of a sudden, oh, wow, that worked. And then you get this self reinforcing cycle of, well, that worked before. I just figured it out myself before. So now I'm just going to figure it out myself again. When really the bigger that your operation gets, the more that's going to hurt you, because you're not asking for help. You're not reinforcing the right behaviors that are going to help you to grow both as a person and professionally.
Yeah, I just went through a program too, just the other day, just listened to Failing Forward. I've heard that in the past, but I heard it a little bit of a different spin, and it's okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know everything. My goal is to get myself to the point. I don't know it. I know where to go find it.
Yeah.
Okay. I know where the resources are. I know who to call. That's okay to do that kind of stuff. That's networking. That's building relationships with other owners or other organizations. Hey, listen, I'm struggling right now. I need some help. I need another set of eyes looking at this. Okay. What's in the way of me going to the next level? Okay, let's go find out. It's not a matter of blame or pointing fingers or nothing's going to scare me anymore. Okay, I hear stuff. Oh, brother. Okay, let's fix it. It's done. Okay, we know what it is. Let's get rid of it. Let's fix it. And it's okay.
So now we've talked about mindset a lot, and we all agree it's super important, right? And because mindset also plays into leadership. If you don't know how to lead yourself, you're not going to be able to lead your team. You have to make sure that you're appropriately motivated to be able to implement these changes. And if you're not, then it's never going to work. So I think we're aligned on that principle. But let's talk a little bit about the business themselves. What are some common problems that you see operationally that you are able to fix pretty quickly?
A couple of examples would be a delivery service I was dealing with. They left the shop and they went 22 miles over here. Oh, I forgot that. Went back. Oh, guess what time it is? Oh, it's lunchtime. Okay, so let's do that. We get back over, spend 2 or 3 hours. Got an upset client, didn't get paid, didn't get the job done. That was $1,800 lost for the day. Okay, just one. Not watching things come through. Constantly running to store and not forgetting equipment, forgetting materials, going to Home Depot 15 times a day. Where's he at? He's at Home Depot. For what? Measuring tape. Go to the back of a truck. There's 10 measuring tapes in there. Okay. Those simple little things, that's creeped into that culture to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And it's their break. I can get away and go, okay, because I've been allowed to do this. But the money being lost is phenomenal.
Wow.
It will blow your mind. One business, the one company I was talking about, the $10 million a year business we were talking about earlier, that was $348,000 in 1 year.
Throw money.
That's putting 4 more vehicles on the road. Okay, that's putting a ownership plan in place for the employees. It's something. Okay, it's setting that business up for sale. Okay, and that's just one component of it. That's not even the control of inventory. That's not even control of payroll. That's not even control of turnover. Because when you talk about leadership, that's where a lot of it happens too, is the turnover. The employees don't feel like they're being taken care of. And the leadership I'm talking about is, you don't get it from a book, you get it from here. You care about your people. You're out in the field saying, hey, listen, thank you for the work you do. You're putting your arm around them. Let me know what I can do for you.
Something that business owners could do is like look at their operation and look where the inefficiency is. Like where, so one example was when I used to work on the ships was I'd come down into the shop, machine shop, and the engineers are down there, they're working on something, but they organized the shop in a way where if the most common parts that they were grabbing were closest to the workbench. So they didn't have to walk 15, 20
Right.
feet to go get something, to go get a nut and bolt. They had it right here so that they can be that much more efficient, right? So you're saying, like, look at your operation from a big picture, 10,000 foot view. You're looking at it like, where are the time inefficiencies? Where is the time being spent that is being wasted? And time wasted in a business means lost revenue, right? And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at that big picture view. Where is that lost revenue? Where's that lost time that's equating to all that lost revenue? And then what processes can you put in place and safeguards to help reduce that time and footprint? Is that big picture view of what it is that you're
It's
looking
kind
at?
of a big picture view.
Yeah.
But you got to get the buy-in.
Gotta get the buy-in. That's where go back to buy-in, right?
And if it was that simple just to go in and put stuff in place, and everybody woke up, so, oh, this is the best thing ever, we're going to follow it. It doesn't work that way. People are resistant to change. It scares them to death. And it's an interesting phenomenon. But how do you get them to accept change? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Why don't you write that up and present it to everybody else? I don't want to take credit for anything. I write stuff. Hey, as a field supervisor, why don't you write this up? Hey, listen, I put this together. Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Okay. All I want is the business fix.
Yeah.
There's no ego here. Do these kind of things. That's the leadership I'm talking about. Great. Good job.
Now this talks also about the motivation of the team, right? So is the team properly motivated? What kind of processes can you put in place to help motivate the team to be able to get this buy-in? Like what do you see as best practice for team buy-in?
It really is going to depend on the business, but one common denominator that I see a lot is the consistent follow. When I talk about routines in business, if you don't have those routines, people they get lost out there, and then all of a sudden something bad happens, and then it's this problem, and everybody gets upset. Okay, and it doesn't solve anything. When I talk about employee empowerment, there's an interesting book I read once called "Teaching the Elephant to Dance: The Employer's Guide to Employee Empowerment." And it was interesting when they talk about you got to be very careful what you give out, but give as much out as you can. Hey, listen, guys, I need you guys I need some help. Can you guys help me with this? But once they put their stamp on it, then they have ownership. Okay. It's not being dictated. That's where I see the big thing starting right away. The other leadership component is getting out and meeting with your people. Okay. Some of the best stories, some business success stories you'll read is leadership that went down constantly and worked with the employees and sat next to them. Hey, let me go ride with you for the day. Let me go see what's going on in my business. Let me go meet my client. It doesn't sound like much, but that little bit, the door's open for communication. I went to lunch with you. I'm not saying anything. I don't go about your business. I'm just riding along for the day. I'm not going to say anything.
Have you read the Toyota Way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Kaizen method, right? The Kaizen method sounds a lot like what you're describing, where the manager or the leadership is physically on the floor, right? So in Toyota was the factory floor, so they would come and they would just physically be present in the factory floor, and they would just observe, and they would be part of the team, and they would ask questions about what the guys on the front lines were seeing.
The total quality improvement
Yeah.
Philosophy, I think. And so the president of the company had his desk in the same area as the everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, um, probably not to that extreme. I think there needs to be a hierarchy in the business.
Interesting.
Okay, but you're going to get better motivation and better results from your employees by involving them as much as you can.
Absolutely.
And it starts with the onboarding. Hey, listen, you're hired to get to work, as opposed to, hey, here's our book. Let me go through it. Here's when our paydays are. This is when you can get this. Here's your holidays. And this is what's going to go on. And thank you. And just, if you have any questions, look at this. But the onboarding in any organization is very important. It sets the stage for everything else.
How do you think companies should approach hiring, recruiting, and onboarding? Like, what does that process look like, and how important is it to employee retention and satisfaction?
You know, it really depends on the organization. If you're in the trades that I've seen a lot, you don't want to get too specific, but you want to have something that hands to them and shows them where everything's at. Here's our standard operating procedures. Here's who you call if you need anything. I mean, here's who you report to. Here's your days off. Here's when you're expected to work. Here's all the kind of stuff that would be normally handed to them. I've seen other organizations that you're like, there's a week orientation where you get started, but that was a very highly skilled job in a sense, very technical. Just take the time and spend with them and go to work. You got your stuff here. Okay, fine. A lot of people just don't want to deal with it, but it's so good. How did you get? I've talked to people. How did you get it? Well, they just gave me the keys and said, okay, fine, here, go to work. I filled out some form. I signed my employment forms and I went to work. Who are you reporting to? I think Mike.
I think what?
I think Mike. I'm like, okay. Anyway, who's Mike? I had to go find Mike. Oh, you're Mike. Can you tell me the name of your employees? No, it's a leadership problem as opposed to riding with them. And he has a company. We have a company. Let's go see. Where are you guys at today? Oh, let's go see him. Why? Let's go see him. Let's have some fun. Go see him. First time you pull up, they're like, what are they doing here? Second, third time, hey, so I've come there to help them. I didn't come here to criticize or do anything. Hey, what, you need some help? What can I help you with? What can you get? No problem. Picking stuff up. I'm picking up trash when they get done or whatever it may be.
How should leaders approach this buy-in conversation? Because it's crucial, right? It's a crucial conversation that they got to have, and it's very sensitive. And there's a lot of tension involved when you're trying to get people to change. What have you seen as good ways, successful ways of having that conversation with the team? And what key insights can you give there for people that need to be able to approach this conversation, but maybe are scared or hesitant or a little apprehensive of how it's going to go down?
When I'm talking to business owners, I did this video at one time, and it was most business owners are resist change, but with our system, fix your business, fix your life, we leverage everything to benefit you and your employees. One of the key things in that is how to motivate the workforce to accept change. And to say that there's a flat way of doing that, it was not true. It's going to depend on that workforce. And it takes probably 3 to 4 weeks to figure out what exactly is going on with that workforce. It could be something from 5 years ago, for all I know, that happened. There was a policy put in place. Oh, it's been here forever. Well, we've done it like that way. How many times you heard that? We've always done it that way. It's been like that forever.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Why? I don't know. This is the way it's always been done. I can show you a better way, and we can work on that together, and it can make you more money and to get you home earlier in the day. Would that be something you'd be interested in talking about? I mean, this comes back to sales. And why would somebody say no to that?
Yeah.
No, I want to work harder and make less money. Okay. But if we're getting you off the job quicker and getting you incentivized to get off projects or something quicker, you would listen to that and make more money. Okay. What is it? Let's go for a ride. Let's talk about it.
So you're saying approach it with a basically you have to be selling the vision or selling the change to your team, just like you would sell a customer or sell a client. You have to basically figure out what those objections would be. What are the objections? What are the apprehensions? What are the barriers or the disbeliefs they have about it? And how do you overcome those things so that you can show them that what it is that you're presenting to them is in their best interest? Is that a fair assessment?
Pretty much. You'd be asking them when you're riding along or when you're meeting with them way back. You know, somebody talked bad to me at one time, and well, I can't get this in time. I can't get this. I can't get this. I can't get things I need to do my job. That frustrates.
Yeah.
Okay, that's leadership. Why can't we get these people the things they need to do the job? So it just depends on what's going on.
So what are some of the things that you see business owners that maybe they want to start approaching an exit, right? They want to start thinking about their exit in their business. What are some of the the other than leadership, what are the common problems that you see across industries that businesses need to start considering when they're getting ready to position their company for exiting?
Two things in the way are disorganization and debt.
Disorganization and debt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the debt, we got all these things around, got all these toys around, got all this stuff going on. We got to get it under control. We got all of our credit cards maxed out. We got our vendor accounts maxed out. Okay. Why? We got to get these things under control. We got to get back to a position of neutral. And that is a very important part of this. Before you can start introducing positive things to people, you got to get them to a position of neutral that
Hmm.
they can accept it. Okay.
Okay.
That's a big thing. It really is. So you got to get rid of that baggage. You got to get rid of the stressors, and debt stresses.
Debt. Yeah. So debt is a big one. How do you what are options that business owners have to get debt under control?
Turn it over to me, get out of the way, and I'll have it paid in about 2 or 3 months.
Awesome.
Because every dollar, remember cash flow?
Yep.
It's funny when you put stuff on a cash flow forecast. I had $1,000. I only need to spend 600. Where's the 400? I don't know. Do that every week. Now we got 1,200. I'm just using it as a very simple way of doing it. But those things track the money. I had one. We had credit cards paid off and $68,000 in credit cards. And it's to the point where whatever you do in 90 days, that was paid off.
Awesome.
Because the money was moving through and it didn't skip a beat. He didn't even notice it.
Because you did the forward projection.
Use
flow,
this.
yeah.
I told him what card. Use this. And I didn't tell him. I'm afraid if I told him, he'd spend it. Okay.
what and when you see that though, when you come to that business owner after that 90 days, right, and you've paid off the debt, the credit card debt, what does that emotional roller coaster look like for the owner? Like
when you finally tell them, okay, listen, this is going on. Okay, this and this and this. Let's set those off to the side in case we need them. Because I want to build something up there. Okay, it's the same thing with vendor accounts. I want vendor accounts. I want vendor accounts because someday I'm going to get a large project opportunity. When you're using money like that in a business, you use it. I could get a couple $100,000 project going here. Okay, so I want to use this to cover my materials, keep my cash position in place. This is very simple, fundamental things. As soon as I get the job done, I'm paying this off because I'm just floating. If I float for 27 days, there's no interest.
So a big part of your process though, when you're looking at how to control and get them to neutral, like one of the cornerstones of that process is doing a cash flow projection.
Okay, you got to get a hold of the cash flow at some point early in the first 4 weeks.
Early.
And it's hard. But just by saying that now, that stress is gone. Now let's focus on the business.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's focus on keeping as much money as we can possibly make through proceduralizing it. Before we do that, we got to meet with the work group. We got to get comfortable with the work group so that they understand, hey, there may be some changes, but this is how it's going to benefit you.
And so that ties into the second issue, which is the disorganization.
Right. If I can save you from having to run back and forth to the store every 5 minutes or having to do this several times and duplicate your work, would you be happier? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Humor me. Let's just try it out. Let's just
try this.
Let's play a game. Okay. You got to talk like that. You can't come in and just hammer stuff in it because you'll lose.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't want to hear it, but now they see it and they're practicing it, and some of it's their ideas. This is where you can kind of have fun in business. This is what this is what I want to do. This is the transformation that I've done in my business. It's gone from this hammer, 160 hours, we're out of here. Bye-bye, good luck, so long. Knowing that it's not going to stick. Competition in my field will go in and bring in lending options. So that person with all that 68,000, no, I got a lending, we're going to give you $100,000. He didn't fix the problem. He compounded it. It was an immediate release. Okay, you got me off the hook.
Yeah.
But I was not disciplined now to manage $68,000 worth of debt. I just took on another 100, and now I'm all over the place.
No,
a lot of people just want an out.
Yeah, they're looking for the quick fix.
Okay, and it can be fixed and be fun. It's not that stressful. When you're talking about the deep root of solving the problem, solve the problem. Give me the cards. I did this with my son. You're not responsible enough for this yet. I'll let you know. There was a time I wasn't responsible. And you just learn to be responsible with money. And that's the thing that's holding these owners back from. I woke up now. I want to find a way out of this thing. It'll take a year. It's not, depending on what's going on, what's coming in the business. This is uncertain times. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and you got to be aware of it. And you got to take care of it. You got to fall in love with your clients. You got to fall in love with them.
I love that. Let's talk about who are your favorite clients that you fall in love with.
Of the ones that all the ones that I've worked with, yeah, I've seen I've seen a few that are simply not approachable. But good, hardworking, blue collar people that really want to make a difference. They want to do the right thing. They just get lost along the way, you know, because you can build a relationship with them. Then after a while, hey, you want to come over for dinner type thing, you know, and looking forward to hearing from you every day. Looking forward to hearing from them. No, there's going to be problems. I know things are going to get messed up. Employees make mistakes. People make mistakes. We work in a people service industry. People make mistakes.
Yep.
Okay. You don't blame people for the mistakes, but you ask them, you have to be accountable for your mistakes. Okay. So we dealt with it. Let's move on. But those clients, the clients, those are the kind of clients I like it's comfortable to work with them. They truly want to do the right thing. They're trying their hardest to do the right thing. They just get wound up in all the stuff we've been kind of talking about. They'll look at their expenses for 40 hours during the course of the week. Look at all these receipts. Where did this come from? And it's already done. The damage is done. I bring in a bookkeeper. She takes that 40 hours and does AR and AP in 2 hours. Now we can manage it. Now we can look at what happened in the business. We're spending all this on, okay, why are we doing this? Is how you start going from overwhelmed to relaxed and profitable. Okay, now I'm managing my business and I can spend a couple hours on that a week. The rest of the time I'm in the field. The rest of the time I'm out talking to my suppliers. I'm talking to my employees. I'm growing my business. I'm thinking about what's happening. How can I make it better? How can I make it better for myself and the people that are working for me? That's what I'm trying to get them to do and get their head. Not worrying about stuff. It's just, we're trying to find a guy. Where's he at? And I find him working on a vehicle. And we have people for that. This vehicle has a warranty. Well, let the warranty people work on it. Get out from under it. Let's go back to work. Let's go have some fun. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, I think that's such powerful advice. And when you get to help people that appreciate it, I think there's a lot of personal satisfaction, at least for me, right? When you're working with somebody that appreciates your efforts and can see and give you that positive feedback or that positive reinforcement that, yeah, what the effort that you've been putting forward as a business developer, you can see that return on your time in the business owner, and you get to see the light bulbs go off. You get to see the relief. You get to see that emotional victory. I think there's, like you're saying, purpose, right? Going back to what we started opened with, right? It's purpose. And for me, I agree. I think there's no greater feeling and emotion than seeing somebody go from tired, depressed, and stressed to being energized and fired up and taking leadership back of their business. And I think that's awesome how you're able to help these people and how many successes you've had along your many years in career of being a professional business developer, even going back and I mean 24 years helping people in emergency services. I think you have you have amazing wisdom, and this has been a great conversation for sure. But as we land this plane, let's go ahead. I'll give you the last word here. What's one out of all your career, your entire career, if you can boil down everything in business to a single first principle advice that you want to share with other business owners that are struggling inside their business, trying to understand what's going on, what would you say to them as your message, your main message?
But don't be afraid to ask for help. Really, I think I've scared people away. People want to ask, just like you're saying here, people want to ask, what do I do? I don't know. Let's find it out together. Let's have fun. If it ain't fun, don't do it. Okay. That's the one bit of wisdom. And a lot of people do things that, God, I hate what I do. Well, let's do something else. There's still time to fix it. I'm living proof that there's time to fix it. Okay. You have to start over in life after 24 years and just, okay, I got to start over. And, I saw this thing the other day about connecting the dots, and you really can't connect dots going backwards. You only can connect dots going forward. And I thought that was pretty powerful. Right. This has been about connecting the dots in my life. And business owners need to look at that the same way. Okay, it's time to connect. I took it to this point. Now I want to take it up here. That's where leadership, that's where you bring in better leadership. That leadership got me here. I want to go here now. I need to be thinking differently. Look at my business, look at everything differently. But let's just close it with this. Just have fun. Let's have fun, man.
I love it.
It can all be fixed. We know what to do. Hitting, pitching, scorecard.
I love it. So
All right.
don't be afraid to ask for help, and make sure that the journey is fun, right? Have some fun along the way. Make sure you're with good people, right? And Kirby, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. We will have a link to Edge Business Solutions down in the description below. If you are interested in checking out their services, I highly encourage you to do so. Take a look at what they do. reach out to Kirby. He's a fantastic human being. He's a great business developer. And I know that you're going to benefit by just having a conversation with him to see what's possible. So, with that, thanks very much, everybody. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.